Check out this video from the House of Machsimo podcast. It's House of Machsimo.
But airlines, man, what's going on with the airlines? The other day, I had to run up to Minnesota. Had a nice trip planned out. Was gonna fly Delta, first time ever. Never flown Delta, and I had to fly Delta just because flights from DFW up north that far are very limited. Southwest doesn't really have any non-directs. American Airlines does, but now that gas is so high, their prices are outrageous. Oh my goodness. Airfare now is through the roof. And so I had to go with Delta. I found we went with Delta. I was going to take my son with me. We're making a weekend out of it. And, I had a little small job to knock out on that Friday morning. Well, Thursday, we were flying out at 10 a.m. was our flight. And then Wednesday. So going into Wednesday evening, I got a notification from Delta saying that I checked weather. There was no weather across the country, and I think that this flight is just a dedicated service line from the Twin Cities down to DFW. Like this plane is not coming in from LaGuardia, New York, or Florida, and then making a connecting flight to Dallas. You know what I'm saying? This is a dedicated nonstop line between this plane only goes north and south. Yeah. So, because they allow you to track where the plane was before, what's going on. It'll show a map of where it is. So I looked at it and they showed the map. It was parked up at Minneapolis Airport. And I'm like, okay, everything looks good. DFW weather's clear for the next several days. Minnesota weather's clear for the next several days. So it can't be weather. In the evening, I get a little notification that said, okay, your flight was delayed about an hour and a half. I'm like, oh, already, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yep.
Here we go. And
you go.
I'm like, okay, I scheduled it, we're leaving at 10 a.m. It's still the central time zone. We're getting there at, just before 1 o'clock. So now it's delayed an hour and a half. We still got enough time to get there, go hit the pool or something. In the middle of the night, we're sleeping. I wake up the next morning, getting ready to finish packing. We're going to be out the door. I check my phone. Flight is canceled. Just flat out canceled. And so then I start panicking. I'm like, oh, man. And then they rebook me. They rebooked me. The first rebook was at 5:30 a.m., I have to be, they're taking off at 5:30 a.m. That means I have to wake up at 4 in the morning with my 6-year-old kid and get to the airport and get in line. Maybe at 3:45 in the morning I have to get up because you got to get there, an
early.
They want you to get there early, and then they board at 30 minutes before the plane takes off. So super early. They want me to get on that flight. It was going to fly to ATL, Atlanta, like a 45-minute layover there, and then it was going to fly to Minneapolis. So 6 hours for this travel trip.
Okay, wait. Where was it going to, from where you were?
DFW to ATL.
Yeah.
We stay grounded for like 50 minutes.
Okay.
Get back on the flight, then fly to finally our final destination. But altogether, it was going to be like 5 hours or so. And I was like, no, this is ridiculous. And then I rebooked myself on the same exact flight, direct flight on the next morning. I thankfully I didn't hesitate and wait for them to try to call me back because I called their customer service line. Yeah. And they said there's an hour and a half wait, and then they'll call me back. Thank God they had that callback service where you don't have to stay on the line.
Yeah.
So I rebooked myself on the same flight for 10 a.m., get there before 1, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, that's fine. And then they separated our seats. They had me sitting at the front of the plane. They had my son sitting in the back of the plane.
They understand that this is your kid, right?
Yeah. Well, they knew that at the gate, and they put us together. Okay. So all that got fixed. Long story short, everything got fixed. It was a huge headache. It was a panic in the beginning. But this is something that's been going on for the last couple years now. And I got some statistics for you that I looked up. I'm not just spitting off the top here. Since Memorial Day, there's been 200,000 delayed flights since Memorial Day this year.
Yes.
200,000.
Yes.
There's been 24,000 canceled flights. 24,000 canceled flights. This has impacted 2.4 million passengers. It's almost the size of Houston. So since Memorial Day, this much disruption in airlines across the country.
Right.
Okay, and since 2019, the cost of airfare is up 45%. Since 2019, there's been 25% less flights. So there's 25% less fleet out there, less scheduled flights, 45% more for the cost. And since the pandemic, when the early months of the pandemic, the airlines lost 96% of their business.
Of course. Yeah.
People stopped flying. You know, there was a travel ban going on. Congress bailed the airlines out. They gave them $50 billion. Did you know that? Yeah. They gave them $50 billion. But did you know the big mistake that the airlines did before that they got that subsidy? They offered, this is where a lot of people aren't taking into account, and I learned this doing some research. The airlines offered early retirement.
Yeah, I heard
to
that.
thousands upon thousands of employees that were eligible for retirement within the next 5 to 6 years or whatever. So, and when we're talking from pilots to grounds crew to, flight attendants to all these people, over 3,000 of those people who took early retirement were pilots. People who know how to fly planes. Very technical job. Yeah. You can't just there's no 6-week training for learning to become a pilot, right? You don't just go and get a cert. You don't get a certificate. It's not like forklift.
It's not like getting those Google certificates.
No.
That you can.
We're talking about pilots. You got to have a certain amount of hours of flying experience to become a commercial
airline pilot.
Yeah. And so that's a big mistake that no one's talking about, that the airlines offered early retirement to a lot of their pilots who could have stayed in a training role. Yeah. Who could have stayed to help mentor younger pilots coming in. They could have been kept in some type of capacity, and just because the airlines wanted to save money. And then not only that, they got a $50 billion bailout. So now there's a huge scramble to find more pilots. And how do you can't, it's like, I would say to become a good pilot is like, it's like a pregnancy thing. It takes at least 9 months, I would say, minimum. I don't feel comfortable getting in a plane with somebody with that, just started.
Very minimum experience.
It's November. Yeah. I'm taking a flight in November, and they just started learning how to fly in February. How do you feel about that? Would you get on a plane like that?
No, but there are many reasons why I wouldn't get on a plane, but definitely. Yeah,
so, there's a lot of issues going on, and, 48 million people were...
Wait, hold on, what? Turn around, fool. Oh, well, say that.
48 million people were expected to fly this 4th of July weekend, okay? Not only all these... So we got the price of fuel's up now, so airfare's up. We had that issue that I just explained with about early retirement for the pilots. So there's a pilot shortage right now. Not only is there a pilot shortage, there's a shortage for flight attendants. There's a shortage for grounds crew. All the people that work at the airport, right?
Weren't Delta pilots on strike?
That was my next point.
Yeah.
Delta pilots are now on a little... I don't know if the whole nation of pilots is on strike, but I saw somewhere a number, 1,200 pilots were striking for more pay, and because they're overscheduled. So it's like, it's a big...
I think...
It's a big mess.
The airline industry... I'll be honest with you, I never flown.
And you guys, and I know there's people out there that want to take trips who've been delayed. I travel a lot for work, so a lot of my travel is during the week, like on a Tuesday or Monday. And a lot of times those don't get messed with. Mm-hmm. It's the leisure travel, the weekend trips. Once it gets to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those start getting...
Well, especially like this weekend, what was it, like 400 flights? Have been
this weekend
canceled.
The numbers so far this weekend, over 600 flights have been canceled.
Yeah,
I think it was somewhere around 2,000 were delayed.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, and so, but I feel like the airline industry has always had problems, big problems, always because Congress had to bail them out. What is it, 15, 20 years ago, maybe? Had to bail out. And this is before any kind of pandemic or anything like that.
I remember getting another bailout.
And it's like, my God, it's like, and because I was talking with Oscar about this the other day. It's like, if the overbooking of flights is one of those things where it's like, didn't they offer passengers like $10,000 to, hey,
I wish they would offer me 10 grand. I'd take that right away.
But it's like, I don't know. Maybe you can better explain it as to why would a service overbook something? You know, you buy a ticket and that is your ticket. You know, that's like going to the movies or going to the theater, and you're guaranteed that this is your ticket to see this show.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden there's someone else scheduled also for your seat. You know, and it's like, well, wait a minute. How's that possible? You sold it to me. But you also legitimately sold it to this other person. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how's that going to work? You're just taking the chance that maybe I just won't show up or that, you know, whatever. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff. In fact, I know that's why they came up with like a passenger's bill of rights, you know, just for this type of industry.
Yeah.
And it just seems so problematic just to begin with, you know. And, yeah, I do believe that a lot of these people are overworked. And they are very short-staffed, but they go ahead and create a schedule that's unattainable.
Yeah, I don't...
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, why would you do that? You know? You understand that you're short-staffed, so you don't create something that you know you cannot accomplish. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to have less flights, but you're going to be staffed for those less flights. You know? And so at least this way, people will know what they're getting into. Because when you ordered those tickets or bought those tickets, you were expecting to have your plane leave when it's supposed to, short of weather or some other event that was beyond their control.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, another big factor is COVID is still out there lingering, and it gives people a huge out. Mm-hmm. You just call in and say you got sick, or you called in and say you're quarantined. Or you were next to somebody who had it that sneezed, and now you have to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you got to, take a break. And a lot of people are leaning on that excuse for whatever reason, whether you think it's right or wrong, whatever. But it's messing up the industry tremendously.